Hi, I'm Drew Gurkowski. I'm the Digital and Community Manager with the FreeBSD Foundation. And I'm joined here today by Bobby. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Bobby Friemer. I'm from Germany, the lovely city of Munich. I'm 51 years old and I'm using FreeBSD for creative production in nearly every area like photo production, video production, my most loved one, audio production. Since 10 years I'm making a little podcast, and since 3 years in the corona time I made a project I was love to do, to make a radio station for friends and family. And the I want to talk a little bit or show the community, the audition, that there is a good operating system which has all the programs you need for creative production.
Gotcha. So some background. When did you first start using FreeBSD?
I started with FreeBSD in the server area with 3.8, I think it was. And in 2007, 2008, I decided to switch from Windows to FreeBSD as my desktop operating system, because I found all the tools I am in need for my creative work. So it's quite a long time. 15 years, no, could be longer.
Yeah, that's a good amount of time. So kind of going back to you mentioning using FreeBSD for multimedia production in all aspects. What tools do you mostly use on FreeBSD? I know there's a whole list, but just ones that
Yes.
you'd like to highlight.
Yeah, my the most of the time I'm doing audio production, like my podcast, which is running for 10 years now. And therefore I have looked for a good software for multi-track editing and with a good API for effects. And for an audio engineer, the most important thing is a good connection with audio interfaces. And I was very surprised. It was 7, 8 years ago where I tried the first USB audio interfaces from Focusrite, from a really professional company in the audio production. And I attached them to FreeBSD, and without any problems, I got this USB system in my audio production program, in my DAW. And this was for me like getting the sun is getting up, that I could get a professional setup for my production work. And this was for me really surprising, because I didn't knew in that time that FreeBSD had done such a good work in the audio area, because in 10 years ago, 7 years ago, FreeBSD was not known for having good audio drivers. And there I was really surprised, because there was no fixing problems, or getting a new hard drive, or any a new USB card to get this up and running. You plug it in, you boot up your system, and there it is, without any problems. This is really, for me, a good point where I said, Robert, go with that. And all the time since then, I do not have any problems. Now I have the third generation of the USB system, and it's you plug it in, it is running. You get professional equipment on FreeBSD with a good quality. So for audio production, this was my first choice, and then I stayed with that. And all the other things I'm doing, like video production or 3D with Blender, you can get a free tool to make 3D projects. I'm doing now 3D printing. You can design all the objects in Blender. Then you can transfer it into Prusa Slicer and get it as a file for 3D printing. So you have all the tools on FreeBSD in your ports and packages. So it's easy to be creative with FreeBSD, and that's for me one of the most important things to have a stable system where I can work for a long time and with a fast system. So I think it's very surprising that a server system or OS, which was known for its server qualities, is also so good for creative production, where you have so many data you have to work with.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think I've had a lot of conversations with people who have mentioned staying on a platform because the fear that software isn't available on something like FreeBSD. And that leads into my last question is, and I think you touched on this just there, but I kind of want to ask it formally and see if there's anything there. Is while you were, first starting to use FreeBSD, as you continue to use FreeBSD, did you run into any friction points with your choice of FreeBSD? Or do you think it kind of matched any other operating system or exceeded any operating system you could have chosen?
For my work, for my creative work, I have done the School of Audio Engineering for creative art. I'm a multimedia producer, so I know the common tools like Photoshop or Premiere or After Effects, the things. But I didn't miss these tools when I get the tools on the open source area, like on FreeBSD, because they are standard tools like Inkscape or Blender, and you get these tools for a long time. You get newer versions with more tools and more workflows. But if you are creative and if you are interested in learning the programs, so you get your job done as well, you don't need Photoshop. You can learn with GIMP to make a productive work. There are some other workflows you have to learn, but then the result, and that's the most important thing for at the end of your job, you have get the result, the right picture or the right video when you're converting it, or you have to mix it or cut it. And for me, I didn't had any problems. There was one time where I had a problem, but this was with my mixing software for my radio program I'm doing once a month. That the software wasn't booting anymore or starting anymore, but I was able to change to a VM with Linux, where the software was also available. I did the PCI pass-through of my audio interface into the VM, and then I could do the audio production on a VM. Simple and easy with FreeBSD, with all the tools I have. So I could go on with my show. There was no interference for the customer that the show wasn't coming up because of technical problems. I was able to make it, and with the newest version, 14.1, where I'm on now, the software is back up and is coming up, and I can do my job again back on FreeBSD. So I'm happy with that, and I'm very surprised that so many people, also in Germany, we have a good community of FreeBSD users. It is not known that you can be so creative with this. The tools are the same, like on Linux. You can get GIMP on Linux, you can get KDN Live, the video editor on Linux, Blender. Everything is also on Unix. But the people don't get the point. You can also use FreeBSD.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming and talking. That was enlightening to me, and I hope to other people too, because I know I'm stuck in a situation where sometimes I stick to a platform because I'm worried about software availability. But you dove in head first, and everything was available. And when you had issues, you problem solved. That's really cool.
That's I agree with you. I've done these steps some years ago, but I also was afraid when I used GIMP instead of Photoshop to miss something. There was one point where I said this should be a nice function. GIMP, these editable layers you have in Photoshop, they are not in GIMP, where you have a plug-in in a layer version. It's not used there. But if you learn how to make this effect with GIMP, so you are not in need with Photoshop anymore, and you are more able to use programs to get the same result, or perhaps a better result, with using other tools and other steps.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I appreciate it so much, and thank you so much for coming and talking to me today.
Yeah, it's also for me a great honor to talk with you and to present my work because it's a small work and I'm not I have a big audience or it's a small work, but also when you have a small business, are not able to have a lot of money to get tools you need. Perhaps it's a chance for you to see you do not have to get the big tools to get a good work. It's a little bit more in knowing how to do the work when the tools are not so important. It's only important how you can get to your target and to the end of your product. And I think it's shown with FreeBSD because it's, as I said, FreeBSD is not so good known for desktop work and for creative art, but I can show and I can tell everybody I meet it is possible, and you have a good operating system which is stable, which is fast all the time. You do not have effects like on other popular operating system, which is getting slower as long as you are using it. You
Yeah.
do not have this problem, and you have the stability. You have a file system ZFS with a fast file system, a secure file system which is healing itself. You do not have to care about that. You can concentrate on your work. So it's really fantastic.
Yeah, you have the power of FreeBSD backing you, which is
It's really wonderful.
comforting, comforting and
I,
powerful.
yeah, I'm always saying I have not a lot of friends, but I have some friends which are in the creative sector as well, and they are using Mac and Apple operating system. And I'm always telling them, you know, FreeBSD is the big brother of Mac OS because they have the same source, but FreeBSD is a lot longer in the business and is a lot more mature. You can't say mature; it's more stable and for all the works, and you get it with a little bit less of money because you get it for free and you can support them if you like, and we can use it on nearly every computer. So it's a good effort to get this. And for me, it's the best choice I had made years ago.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you. I really appreciate you taking your time and joining me today.
No problem. It's for me, it's a big pleasure to talk to you.